Well, hello. Welcome to Talking About Speedway. Con Migro and Graham Sindon with you. No racing in Perth, Con, at the weekend because of severe flooding and so on, but plenty to talk about nonetheless.
Yes, Graham, I think we could have run speedboat racing at the Motorplex on the weekend, but it's good to be with you once again. And, of course, whilst there was no speedway as far as we were concerned, we certainly still got a lot to talk about.
Well, Con, talking about speedboat racing, I don't know who was responsible for this particular picture, but a bit of fun nonetheless. And the Motorplex track was well and truly soaked, and I think you've got some information about just how much water they pumped off the track.
Well, I'm not too sure if I'm accurate with the figures, but I believe there was something like 29,000 litres of water that was pumped off the infield. And, of course, the infield is down low and it's a clay surface, so she filled up pretty quick. Anyway, Mikey spent most of Saturday and the team pumping the water out. So, as I always said, no one waters a track better than God, but I think he was a little bit too helpful on the weekend.
He had big holes in his water can on the weekend. Con, here's a picture of the Motorplex. In fact, this is early on in the piece, so it wasn't completely flooded, but you can still see the amount of water, particularly on the bike track and around the edges of the track. But subsequent photos I looked at, they really showed just how much water had gathered, particularly in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, well, although the rain had eased up by late afternoon on Tuesday and Saturday, it still would have been impossible to run the event. And when you now look at how wet the track was, it'll be just right for the 11th of April when we run our final Perth Motorplex season race for the 25-26 season.
Yes, indeed. Well, there we are. There's the rescheduled dates, 10th on Friday, the Fast Friday, and then the 11th for the grand final. Looking forward to that after a little bit of break from Speedway, Con.
Yep.
And, of course, there's always a silver lining in my view, Con, because what that's going to do is give patrons, fans and Speedway goers an opportunity to book a spot in the Highline deck, $130 package. It's well worth it, I can tell you. You get everything thrown in apart from a few drinks, but there is a fabulous drinks bar and a terrific waiter, very friendly, and he'll look after all your catering needs and that to go.
And it's a perfect place to view the Speedway from. You're up high and it's a brilliant place to just watch Speedway from. It's probably one of the best locations on the whole ground.
Well, I think so, certainly. I've looked at Speedway at the Perth Kwinana Motorplex setup, and when you walk all around the track and you watch it from turns 1 and 2 from the Highline deck, the Wilson's Highline deck, certainly a fantastic spot. As I say, that $130 package, it's well worth it.
Correct.
And Con, if we just look now at some of the lineups for the Saturday night grand final, I understand there's a few changes to those nominations, if I'm correct still, and because of dates have been changed and all of that. But Caden Brown, the New South Wales and current Australian champion, is coming across to race for Travis White again. So I'm hoping that's still correct, but we'll find out as time goes on.
Well, I hope it is, because that'll put a real big sparkle into speed cars. At this particular stage, they're starting to show some wonderful form. The numbers are growing each week. And, of course, we see Nicholas Rowe. Hopefully he'll get a fair run with his motor. He's had a terrible run, as you know. Young Jake Robinson, the most improved driver in West Australia. And, of course, then you've got a lot of other good young men coming on. And the 26 car of Keenan Fleming, we all know how good he is. And he's just had some bad luck this year with flat tyres, running out of fuel, and stupid things that went on which shouldn't have happened to him. But, yep, I think it's going to be a pretty good speed car show.
And Tom Fayette, of course, in the Graham Jones car, he'll give the field a bit of a shake-up. I do genuinely hope that Nicholas Rowe can get going and have a bit of success. He's had a torrid time in the number 3 Toyota-powered car, and I understand he got a borrowed engine from Rodney Bennett, so let's hope he can get the thing fired up and start winning some races.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, of course, the late models, we said the other day, it'll be good to see Brent Vosberg, and I suppose that rain happening when it did last week probably gives him another couple of weeks to get himself even stronger.
That's right.
And he might even do what his dad did, because his dad stayed out of the sport, come back and won. So and he set fast time. So we look forward to Brent coming in a very strong field. Of course, the old fields will be there in their strength, and the Massara. So we're in for some pretty good racing. And Joe Chalmers, I believe, will still be driving the 54 car for the Nylanders, because his own car has struck a few mechanical blips and won't be going until the next season.
Now, originally, Con, I said previously when we put this up on our last show that this was going to be the final hit out before the Formula 500 Championship down at Albany at Atwell Park. But now, of course, it'll be the race after the championship. So when the Formula 500s hit the track, we'll have, a new, maybe, state champion. Reece Cummins, the current state champion, but I think there's a few drivers that want a piece of that action.
Well, I think going on current form, you'd have to say that Reece would be not one of the favourites, but he did it last year and there's no reason why he can't do it again. And you did say there was a statistic that involves Stephen Element, which is, I think it's worth mentioning. I know we'll be seeing and getting the result after it happens, but it's probably worth noting what you were talking to me about before we come on air.
Well, Con, as I said before we came on air, as you say, at the moment, Stephen Element is equal terms with Johnny Anderson on 6 state championships apiece, and that's quite remarkable in its own. But should Stephen get up and win the state championship at Atwell Park on the 4th and 5th, he will in fact leapfrog the great Johnny Anderson. You can't imagine that, can you?
No, you can't. That's probably a little bit like a lot of things, but as they say, records are made to be broken.
Absolutely.
And of course, this young man has been an ornament to the sport the last couple of seasons, but of course Cody Taraccio this year has really been the cat amongst the pigeons as far as his results are concerned. And if you were a betting man, you'd have to put Taraccio as your hot favourite. Apart from what happened to him at the Australian title, he has won just everything that's come his way.
That little Japanese, well, I say little, the Japanese engine he's got, certainly a rocket ship, isn't it? And probably the difference between he and most of the other field, including Stephen Element, whose car is like Cody Taraccio, second to none. It's just absolutely fantastic. I'm just going to show this next slide, Con, if I can go over here. This now is the sprint car field. Dane Kingshot, of course, leading the way. The recent winner of, and we announced it last week, of the Boyne Upseller Sprint Car Driver of the Year. But look at the rest of the field in there. How good is it?
Yes, it's a brilliant field of drivers, and it's a magnificent credit to the Maddington Toyota organisation and the Sprint Car Entrance Group that they've been able to maintain and retain the numbers like they have. I believe there's something in excess of 50 cars to draw from, and there wasn't a night that we didn't have at least 50 and 30 racing, and even plus that. And we've had some winners this year, like AJ Nash, that was good to see him happen, but Dane Kingshot has been the absolute top dog. And, of course, Callum Williamson's been knocking on the door, and Daniel Harding came good in the last few weeks, and then we saw James Inglis come back. So it's like a smorgasbord, isn't it?
All right. Now, as we mentioned last week, and proudly so, Dane Kingshot was the winner of the Boyne Upseller Sprint Car Driver of the Year. And for his remarkable achievement, Con, let me just go back to there because I want to now put this up here. As part of his remarkable achievement, Dane Kingshot will receive a Michael Figliomeni trophy. Yes. So the Boyne Upseller Sprint Car Driver of the Year, he gets a trophy. He gets $1,000 cash from Assured Learning Australia, $1,000 from King Chrome Tools, $1,000 of tools or product, and a couple of nice top-shelf cases of champagne. But the reason I put this slide up again, Con, is because you recently did a nice interview with Frank Figliomeni and the Figliomeni family that are going to present that trophy to Dane Kingshot in mid-April sometime when we'll announce the date. So why don't we go, Con, and have a look at that interview you did with Dane.
With Frank.
With Frank for the trophy for Dane, and we'll come back right after that. Don't go away. Here's Con Migro with Frank Figliomeni.
One of the major awards we conducted throughout the season through our radio shows was the Michael Figliomeni Award, which was with Assured Learning out in High Wycombe, also Boyne Upsellers and Kinchrome. And the man who has been responsible for donating the award to us is the late Michael Figliomeni's father, Frank. G'day, Frank, and welcome.
Thank you, Con. Great to be here and be part of this very prestigious award, we call it. And we hope that we can keep doing this for many years to come.
Frank, Michael was a legend of the sport of speedway racing in speed cars and sprint cars, in particular in speed cars. I don't think there's been many drivers that would equal what he did. As a father, you must have been very proud of him as a great racer.
Oh, certainly. We the family and a lot of people, of course, we didn't really know how good he really was until he passed away. It was just phenomenal to think back now, and like you just said, there hasn't been many which have gone up there to that status. And but anyway, we were great to be here and great to have participation in this award. And we hope, as I said, to be doing this for many years.
Now, I think it's worth noting that in addition to Michael being an outstanding competitor, he was also a brilliant fabricator, and he was manufacturing his own speed cars and sprint cars, and he was a bit of a double whammy. In fact, Kim Ledger, who he worked for at one stage, Kim Ledger said he was the best tradesman he'd ever seen. So that must have been a great buzz for you to hear that.
Oh, certainly. He started constructing his own bits and pieces, bikes and all kinds of stuff when he was just over 6 years old, and my shed at home looked like a atom bomb had hit it, and he started making his own bikes. Then he went into motocross with the help of my mother-in-law, Mrs. G, and they bought him a motocross bike, ex Jeff Lee's bike, would you believe? And he went from there and had always made his own stuff, and very successful, as you said. And I'm not boasting, but I haven't seen too many people do and be able to be where he was at. You know, it was just phenomenal.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of people know this, but he, at the end of the era of Claremont, he wrote to me and said to me that he was at one stage thinking of giving the sport away, but he said when the Motorplex was built, he knew he just had to go again, and he reckoned that he could understand what we were trying to do there. A lot of people did at that time, and he was high of praise of the Motorplex, and he did drive it brilliantly, didn't he?
Oh, he did. Wherever we went, anywhere in the world, and we went to a lot of places, he would always get back to the Motorplex. He said was the best place he'd ever raced on, and he would say that quite openly, without any fear or whatever. So he was like that, and wherever he liked to race, he would put you on the map. He was like that. He was just so appreciative of anything that anybody ever did for him in racing or whatever. That's what he's like.
Yeah. Good. Well, anyway, Michael, the Michael Figliomeni Award now is going to be presented in a couple of weeks' time. We're going down to Bunbury to do the presentation. And, of course, we're arranging for the Southwest Times to come and take photos of the award. And it's no secret that the fact that Dane Kingshott has won it. And it's amazing that Dane Kingshott happened to be an Australian speed car champion and also has developed into probably one of the best sprint car drivers in this nation. So it's going to be a big excitement for Graham and myself and, of course, you and the Figliomeni family to see that award presented to one of the finest drivers we've seen for a long time.
Yes, you're right. And I could remember Dane when he first started, and we always thought he might be going nowhere, but the young fella, he showed his grit in speed cars, and he was very good. And of course, in later years, of course, in those days, we didn't really know where he came from, but Bunbury, of course, to us is like our backyard. So this award is doubly more important now, because I know that this young fellow, I saw him grow up, and I saw him start, and now he's up there, and it's just great to see.
Well, Frank, thank you very much indeed for you and your family to keep this award for us to be able to present every year, and to the Figliomeni family for keeping Michael's name to the forefront of Australian and West Australian Speedway. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you, Con.
At Maddington Toyota, we're all about great deals, value, quality and service. Head to our website for quality new, demo and pre-owned vehicles with videos so you can find your perfect car. We can organise the details by phone and email and deliver the car right to you. Check out the entire Toyota range, plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles, all backed by our real commitment to great service. Maddington Toyota, great deals and great service. Oh, what a feeling.
Welcome back to Talking About Speedway. Nice interview there with Frank Gon, and how good is it for Frank and the Figliomeni family to provide these trophies for significant events, and the Boy and Upsellers Sprintcar Driver of the Year certainly is a significant event.
Well, you've always heard me say, and I know you've backed me up on this, is that trophy probably means as much to the competitor that wins the award as the magnificent awards that they get. Michael was a legend in the sport, and not only as a racer but as a damn good guy, and also a brilliant tradesman that his fabrication work was second to none.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Con, we mentioned this on our last show, but I just want to put it up again because the significance of Dane and his season has been just tremendous. And what we said here, and this slide's, well, not the slide, but the information provided by Ken Brown, but Dane Kingshot currently has equal 6 feature race wins this season. Should he win on the 11th, he will then have 7, and he will be in second place on the overall sprint car feature races in any one season. Ryan Farrell and Jason Kendrick hold that record, in fact.
That's brilliant. There's been some fabulous drivers throughout the years, and Ryan's still up there, and well, won't get beaten this year, but maybe if Ryan wants to, or Dane wants to have a good crack at it again next year, he might be able to get up and pass young Ryan.
Yes, indeed. And we'll just have a quick look at this again, Con. Dane Kingshot still leads the way in the Maddington Toyota Sprint Car Series, 3,140 points, 120 points in front of Callum Williamson. And the interest for us, Con, will be on the 11th, that may change depending on Callum Williamson's performance in the 26 Diamond Bay car and Caden Mander's performance.
Yes, certainly. So the heat is on those competitors, not so much on Dane, but when I said that the other week that young Dane might just go for the ride, but he didn't because he ended up winning the A main. So we know he just doesn't go for the ride. But if he can get the chances, he wins. But of course, Callum and now young Caden are the ones that have made a late run. And Caden's got bigger, better, and stronger as the season's grown on. And I'm looking forward to his 26-27 season. It's going to be a ripper.
Con, now just have a quick look at this. This is just out of interest because we haven't had any racing. We've got a bit of time to discuss these sort of things. But these are Australian drivers who've won A mains in the USA. And going through the list as I did over the weekend, I'm suggesting, to my knowledge, most of those drivers have been here to race in Perth, either at Claremont Speedway or here at the Perth Motorplex.
Oh, I'm sure they have been. And you look at the names, the Madsons and the Tatnells and the Jacksons. Skip now lives in America, but Pete Murphy, in fact, they run a big race after Peter Murphy in California where he used to base himself. There's some wonderful names there, and if you could just imagine if you could turn back the hands of time. In fact, Trevor Green's there. Trevor Green won the very first ever feature race for sprint cars at the Motorplex when it opened 26 years ago. So there's some wonderful drivers. And even last year, Graham, with what we've seen of the guys that came and raced in Western Australia, we all know that only one can win, but we had a who's who in the world of sprint cars, either at High Limit or World of Outlaws, and all of them have gone back, and they've gone back in red-hot form, racing their hearts out. So whoever says that you don't need to have laps early in the season, well, these guys are red-hot when they come back. And so the Americans are one on what's in them. And Rico Abreu, driving for Tony Stewart, has set the American scene just about on its head, has he?
Well, he's going really well. And talking about the American scene, here's the championship points. Now, this is up to the 24th of March, so there's a couple more races since then. But look at Aaron Rutzel as well. He's now got 2 feature races to his name. And James McFadden's right in there. He's in 9th place at the present time, but he won a feature race before he came back here to Australia, to Toowoomba.
Yes, and Aaron Ritzel, as you know, very early in last season, Aaron had a horrific car crash or race crash, and once he was well, he probably spent the rest of his season driving with the moon boot. Yeah. So, and then he came to Perth and to West Australia, I should say, and raced, and he got bigger, better, and stronger. And Luch Monty has been helping him, and Luch Monty has also been supporting him in America this year. So, and he's a West Australian, so the connection's very strong there. And Aaron's rewarding him with some fabulous results.
And when we say like Kerry Madsen, we're talking about James McFadden. They've been here racing successfully. Go over there and win in the High Limit. So It's great to see these guys competing one-on-one in America, isn't it?
It is. In fact, James McFadden we've always known he's been going to be good. Well, he's a great driver now, and he last weekend won a big race in Queensland when he flew back from America. So he still keeps the flag flying for Australia, and whether it be in Australia or in America.
Yes, indeed. Well, I put this one on, Con, a bit of self-reward, I guess, but I accepted an award from Beck Jones, and it was in recognition of your invaluable support for the Speedcar Triple Crown from 21 to 26. So talking about Speedway as a recipient of that, nice to get these little things given to you. You don't do it to get rewarded, but it's nice when you recognise that you have put a little bit of effort in to make life easier for these people with sponsorships and promotion of the sport.
Yes, it's fantastic, and young Beck does a fabulous job. Graham, she's the daughter of Graham Jones, the former Australian speed car champion, and between Beck, Jones, and the Fleming family, they've worked hard to build speed cars back to the strength they are at the moment, because we all know there were several years there that they were in total disarray, and to see them coming back and to be rewarded like that, we say thank you to them, and you receiving the award is a big buzz for all of us.
And Beck, you just mentioned, and Graham Jones are the main engine drivers for the Esslinger Triple Crown. I mean,
Correct.
Graham runs Esslinger engines, a fantastic speed car engine. I understand, and I don't know whether it's still true with the uprising of Toyotas and other engines that are around, but I think they've won more speed car, or as they say in America, midget races than any other motor. So that's quite good, isn't it? And for them to provide that sponsorship, that level of sponsorship to Graham and Beck Jones and the WASDA is just fantastic here at the Perth Motorplex. So they recognise the track and what speed cars are doing here.
Well, you could almost say, Graham, that if it hadn't have been for the likes of Graham and Beck, and Melissa Fleming and those people, I would say that probably speed cars would have been dead in the water now, and it's sort of the numbers are building back. We've got some nice young guys coming on, and I know that I was talking to Graham the other day, and there's some big plans for them next year to hopefully take the sport up another notch, so that's good. And if we can get a couple of the guys that are there now racing to be more consistent, because they are a spectacular racing division.
Well, they're the original speed car. You know, that's the original form of four-wheel motorsport, isn't it?
Correct.
Now, Con, I put this one on too since we've got some time, but not only that, because I think it shows sprint cars what they should be. This is a Peter Roebuck picture. He had all the back rented. I removed that. But this is Jeff Underdown's LS1 sprint car, but I put it on because it's clean and sharp and good paint job, and more importantly, the numbers are easy to read, and that's one of the bugbears that you and I have over the season. So I just thought that was a great picture for a start, but also beaut clean lines on Jeff Underdown's sprint car, and he's had a bit of success in it as well. So
well, he has, and I'm glad that you've done that, Graham, because I think myself you're 100% right. A lot of guys, they forget about what you like or don't like. You must remember that when you're in the business of motortainment, and even MotoGP, you all know that Mark Marquez, for argument's sake, is 93, and Valentino Rossi was number 46. And those numbers are so important for the fans to be able to relate to. And a lot of the cars that you see down at the motor, speed cars are the same, and are very difficult to pick up on the racetrack. They're having a lot of room to sign rod them, we know, but I think that if they had a bit better way of setting the colours out and going to talk to someone like young Mitchy Harris, he's a sign rider, or young Bottrell, maybe they could help them to put the car so they can be more noticeable on the racetrack.
Now, we just talked about James McFadden winning in America, and he won a race over there, a feature race, an A-Main. Came back to Toowoomba over the weekend and won the 2026 Red Hot Shootout, and he beat Ryan Newton and Lockie McEwen. Pretty powerful team there, isn't it?
Oh, well, what a team. Three fabulous drivers. And, look, James McFadden is one of the real heroes of Australian sprint car racing, and helped by Sheldon Brady from down in the naval base area, that the car is going so well, and it's a tremendous commitment they've made for Speedway, as you said. James won a big A-Main in America late last week, and it was back in Australia this last week, and I suppose he's heading back to America now to do some more high-limit shows, so it just gives
mowed the grass at home and off he goes.
Yeah, so all that idea of, like, they were saying that Brad Sweat was saying that I'm only going to do 50 or 60 shows this year against my 70 or 90, so I'm taking a bit of a back step. There's no such a thing as a race car driver having a back step, is there?
No. And Con, this one here, I understand Michael's okay. You can see he's being extricated from the car, but Michael Pickens in New Zealand, who's been over here on numerous occasions driving for Graham Jones in a number 4 Esslinger car, had a big bell ringer. He flipped the car. He was belted by the yellow car in the top shot. He'd almost come to a standstill, got belted by the blue car, the number 75 car, and it was a big crash for him. And it would not surprise me, Con, if we didn't see Michael just concentrating on sprint cars in next season.
Well, Michael's in his early 40s now, and he's been a wonderful servant for the sport. In his speed car career, at one stage he was rated number 1 in the world. He's still amongst the top 6, and often when you see results from races in America, you'll see him up there. But, speed cars are a totally different beast to sprint cars. They're a lot more finesse required, and here we don't want to see him getting hurt badly. So I think that if he does go to sprint cars like you say he's going to do, that would be probably a wise move from him.
Now, Con, moving on to Formula 500 here in Western Australia, and we did mention that they were now going down prior to the last event of the year, which should have been last week. They'll be now going down to Atwell Park on the 4th and 5th of April for their state championship, and we mentioned Stephen Element has that 7th state championship up for grabs, so a little bit of magic could happen down there. But best wishes for Formula 500 at Albany. I hope they get a good crowd down there, and they'll be treated to some great Formula 500 racing.
Yeah, it'd be great. It's a fabulous venue for formulas, and of course, being Easter, I sincerely hope that the people don't stay away from Albany because tourism makes those towns. I know up north, up in the Kalbarri regions, they have had a lot of cancellations, but that's unfortunate. Probably the rain did come at the wrong time for them because it did for Speedway. But whilst in one breath we say it did, but in the other breath we say for the farmers has been a wonderful boost.
Yeah, true. And for Perth. Gee, we enjoyed the rain, I can tell you.
We sure did.
Wingless Speed Week, you don't want to miss this one, 17th, 18th, 22nd, 24th and 25th. So we've got the Australian Championship up front on the 17th, 18th. We've got the Des Nash Memorial on the 22nd, Wednesday evening, and then 24th, 25th, the State Championship. So put those dates in your calendar and don't dare miss it. That'll be a beauty for you.
Yep, be fabulous shows.
And Con, let's just move along now. We've got another little ad for ourselves here. Let's Talk Speedway. We're getting to the end of the season for our radio shows as well, but tune in Wednesday afternoon, 1 p.m, Sports Radio 91.3 Sport FM, and then on the Friday afternoon at 2 p.m, SEN Radio, The Spirit of the Southwest, and our program, The Spirit of Speedway. Con Migro and Graham Sindon bring both of those two programs to you.
Yes, we've got 2 more shows on 91.3, and we've got to work out the final show we're doing on SEN, but I've got a few plans, and I've spoken to you about it briefly, that we might be able to resurrect some things and keep going, talking about Speedway throughout the winter. So, but anyway, that's something that we're going to plan for the rest of the season. But in all, it's been a ripper so far, and it's going to be a ripper to finish it. And seeing what we've got coming up, it gives you a feeling like the season's starting already.
And Con, those 2 radio shows, you have to say thank you to both of them, don't you? To 91.3 and to SEN Radio 621 AM down in Bunbury, The Spirit of the Southwest, for having the gumption to put Speedway on the airwaves on radio, and it's been paid back in spades, I think, because viewers have tuned in by their droves, and it just shows the thirst for radio Speedway as well as visual and written Speedway media. And I think these people are recognising that Speedway is a $2 billion+ industry per annum, and they want a part of it in radio media.
Oh yes, it's big business, and we thank them very much for their support for what they've done for us, and we contribute to it naturally, but we're thrilled that they give us the opportunity.
So don't forget, rescheduled grand final now, Fast Friday, April the 10th, and then on the 11th. Hold on to your hats because we've got the grand final main Speedway event for speed cars, Formula 500, late models, and of course sprint cars. So don't miss that one, whatever you do.
For sure.
Well, Con, that brings us to the end of our show. Thank you. A busy one. It's good to have Frank on the show with us as well. So we've had a lot today.
Yes, we have had a double whammy, and get it out, Con. But thanks for having us once again, Graham, and we look forward to being with you when we talk about Speedway once again.
Okay, we'll do it all again next week after the grand final, in fact. So hang on to your hats. Con Migro and Graham Sinden signing off.